Yes.
No, we have a topic tonight, and we're live.
Okay.
We're live now, so
Oh,
let me.
Channel. Hello.
Hang on, I have to drag that one across separately to there. I have
It
to.
says waiting.
Yeah, there's a delay. So.
we're on. We're on.
Yeah, we are on. We have a topic tonight. Oh, and I have to turn.
Live.
Okay.
We're live now. Feedback. There we go. Turn that down.
Oh, what have I done? Oh, there we are.
Live chat. So while you're sharing it, I'll get the chat room set up. Pop out.
Yep.
Why does it always go to a different bloody spot? I don't know if you noticed as well. Hello, everybody who is already here. If there is anybody yet, I don't know. But we have our old alien logo in the background now.
Oh, that's a new one.
So if I just do that to there, and then drag this in to there. Let's get it all. How quick and how seamless was it tonight?
Now you say that, I haven't posted yet.
Well, I've posted on mine, and now I'm posting on Gary's. So.
As long as it goes up in the WAPA page and everywhere else. There we go.
Yeah.
Now I have the radio voice going.
See, I don't want to create an event. Thank you.
Yeah, it does that for me all the time as well.
Oh, it's
annoying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very annoying.
You don't have to worry about the Paranormal Collective because I just did it. I thought it was Gary. It says Gary Anderson's page, but
why does it always flip back to top chat when I want live chat? There we go. We're in live chat now.
And now we go back to there.
So many cameras going at the moment. It's not funny.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Carl. How are you, mate?
Carl's in already.
We've got a good one for you. And I was just going to say, and James is in, but yeah.
I was like, James, what the hell's going on?
Carl, if you didn't realise, it's actually James that's on camera with us this week. I think we're going to start doing guest appearances on a Friday night.
I think it works a bit easier because most
guest appearances.
Most of the time you can talk about just about whatever it is.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
But we're going to give a few people a chance to get in because we do have a bit of a kind of a topic thing for tonight. So
it says 4 at the moment.
At the topic?
It says 4, does it? Are we at 4 or 5 according to mine?
5?
Yeah.
Mine's probably a bit behind.
Hang on, where's my camera gone? Boom. So who else is
Hi,
with
Mark.
us
How are
tonight?
you?
James
Hey,
is really
Mark.
hiding wine in a plastic cup.
You can tell he's got kids, right? Plastic cups, not glass.
I actually like the Hulk now. That's a bit too bright. Let's dull down the greenness
Mark,
a bit.
how we going, Mark?
Well, Carl's still kicking.
That's good news.
That's a good sign.
What is he kicking, or who is he kicking? Boom.
I don't know, but he's got a winky eye
All
going
those
on as well.
conspiracy theories.
The only thing about having to wear glasses and put headphones on is they do press down on your bloody top of your ear after a while.
Yeah.
Why
Jeremy, we put them back on. I thought we were going to be the three amigos with glasses.
I'm not Mexican.
Oh, come
Well,
on.
speaking of
You
which,
could be.
why haven't you got your baseball cap on, James?
Yeah, James.
I do have one.
Gary's got no hair.
No.
James has got receding, and I'm going grey. So
Hey, how do you know I just didn't have a high forehead?
it's called a 5 head.
Oh, I've actually got something to show everybody. Where are we?
Yeah,
Got
we
a
discussed this before.
Got to flick cameras, but
You just can't help yourself.
no.
What is it?
When Lynn was over in Queensland, she and Erin, my stepdaughter, were out and they saw this thing and they go, "We have to get it for Gary. Gary will love it." Bits will fall off it, but doesn't matter.
So Gary, it seems that Carl has run out of bubble gum.
I've actually lost 2 legs now. Look at this.
Oh, that's cool. Is it glass? It lights up. Oh, it's glass. Okay, that's cool.
It's a
Mosaic mirror.
Yeah.
it's a disco UFO.
So it's two aliens with
With legs that-
Saturday Night Fever, paranoid fever.
With legs that I've got to sort out, but I'm gonna have to find a permanent spot for that.
So
Preferably with a light shot on it.
Carl said he is all out of bubblegum. He's been kicking ass.
That's the film we were talking about earlier.
No.
He walked in the bank. He goes, "I come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum."
That's why I made the reference.
Oh,
man.
it's so far looking like it's going to be another quiet one.
I think so. We've got 5 here.
I'm about ready to give up on our fellow WAPA members actually coming in to support. They never turn up.
It would be nice. It is a little bit disheartening when you try and do some things to try and make it work and have a name out there, and unfortunately it's not reciprocated.
Look, at the end of the day, if we end up moving forward just as this and doing our own investigations, that's what we'll have to do if people aren't going to help. So,
But on a funny note, before we do start, completely off topic.
yeah.
No, this is like completely off topic. Work today, we're having a laugh, and the question came across: would you rather kill a chicken every time you had to hop in your car, or randomly fight an orangutan wielding a sword once a year randomly?
Number 2.
You'd rather the orangutan.
I'd rather kill a chicken. At least you got dinner then.
It would be
That's
fun.
what I was thinking. Like, can you imagine being in the middle of your morning toilet trip, and then you get knocked at the door, it's the orangutan waiting with a sword? I'm good.
Not with me pants down, no.
Exactly. And Gary, there's your blooper you wanted.
I don't know what's happened, but we've just dropped
Have
to
a
3.
little-
We've dropped to 3 people now.
Have a little
Connection.
sword fight. Literally.
I don't know what happened there, but the orangutan conversation has just dropped us off to 3 people.
There's your blooper.
So who is still with us then? We haven't actually started yet. We obviously normally we're still getting stuff set up by now, but everything worked really well for us tonight, so we got the stuff set up nice and quick. But we don't have anybody to watch. Can you hear the difference in the audio right about there?
Drips down a bit.
Mark kills chicken. Carl, does it have to be random? What do you mean random?
Random?
It's set.
Yes, it can't be a set date for the orangutan. You cannot be ready for it.
No. I have my blue beard, so
Okay.
I'm all set.
Gary, have you got the chat set to live chat or
Live chat. No, it's on live
Yeah,
chat.
we're back up to 6 now.
Wow.
See, they're back. I'm having
Yeah,
to think about the chicken or the orangutan.
I don't know, but if anybody's popping in for the first time and they're hearing us talking about chickens and orangutans, they're going to go, what kind of show is this we've jumped in on?
Rewind a bit. Rewind.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear Blockbuster has got one over Netflix?
No?
The last final Blockbuster in America. Netflix has stopped doing DVD rentals, and Blockbuster put up a notice on their Facebook page saying, haha, we beat you, or something like that.
I don't know.
No, you didn't hear that one? Oh,
No.
God, guys around the loop.
We'll get going in a minute. We'll just give. What's the time now? We'll give it maybe
got
2 more
some
minutes, 2 or 3 more
content
minutes, and
first.
then we'll get quiet in.
Carl, unfortunately, I did, and people weren't happy about it.
Hey,
Carl asked the question. I said I did, and people weren't happy about it.
oh yeah. Mm. So the 6 people that are in and watching us, are you all in the chat as well? We'll have to wait and see. I'm assuming not, because there's only 2 or 3 people in there. Oh, yeah.
We've had a few love faces go up.
Mm-hmm. Chicken or the orangutan. Well, you reckon they're sending the little love hearts?
Yeah, probably.
No.
It's probably it realistically the love hearts are coming from James because he just thinks it's funny having gone across your screen.
I actually don't even know if I can't even get them activated, to be honest with you.
Well, you just click the heart and it should work.
No,
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I've never done it, so I wouldn't have a clue. But well, no, we've got it. We've actually got a good show for everyone tonight. We have a bit of a story. So
it tells you the participants in the chat, but it won't tell you who's actually watching. Right.
So how many participants are in the chat? Does it say?
Oh,
Bless you.
I'm so glad I didn't pull my face back out with like boogies hanging down.
He got slimed.
Participants in the chat is the Shadow Files, Mark S, myself, and Carl.
And me.
No, it's just what it says. I'm not excluding anybody. I don't like exclusion. Unless it's from certain things.
So are we ready to have a bit of a talk and get started?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Righty. Okay, so we'll go to this one. And remember, we have to be quiet through the title bit because we always talk through it. And we are live. And I forgot to turn the camera across, so we're going to go with it like this for a minute. But I hope everybody is. I know it's twice in an hour I've done this. How terrible. Well, it's not, because the background looks really good. So, and it actually sort of does tie in a little bit with what we're talking about tonight, but very loosely. So what we have tonight is we have a story which is eons in the building, and we're going to jump into it in the last 100 years. So there's a lot that we're sort of skipping out on, but we can go back over that as the conversation starts. But we're going to start talking about lost civilizations and the proof that they ever existed and what happened. And we're going to talk a little bit about, well, we're not really going to go into it, but we're going to touch on biblical stuff about the floods and things like that, which is going to lead into something which is going to get everybody chin wagging real quick. So before we go any further, I'm actually going to flick over to a camera that I can actually see. Where are we? So, hello.
How are we?
Good.
Hello.
How are you guys?
We are well. Glad to be the end of the week.
I saw a big thumb.
Yeah, I think that was James putting the big old thumbs up.
It was. Saying I was all good.
Oh, he's got his
Yeah.
text.
Emoji.
He's got his tech stuff down. Oh, I can't do any of that.
Yes, that was boring at the man kitty. I'm going great.
I can just do silly voices and stuff. But anyway, yeah, getting back onto the topic. We actually we have a show coming up on a subject which we're going to touch on tonight, but I thought this would be a good one for conversation. Now, I've been watching some stuff about history and everything, and they go into like the pyramids and things like that. Now, one of the first things that I was really intrigued about is when they were talking about the Sphinx and how it was made and stuff, and how, you know, it's it's the body of a cat with the face of a human. One of the things that they were talking about is that the head is unusually small in relation to the rest of the body, and the common consensus now is that originally the head was of Anubis. The whole body was Anubis.
Yeah.
And at some point something's happened and they've actually got rid of his head, and then they've turned it into the human head, and that's why it is now smaller than what it is in comparison to the rest of the body. And they're going into polar shift and things like that. You know how we're talking about how the earth rotates and how, you know, the crust moves and things like that, and what have you. And they were saying originally when the pyramids were built, they have basically, based off the erosion of the Sphinx, they say it is now Carl, they are now saying that the pyramids and the Sphinx are probably twice as old as what everybody thinks they are. Now, the common consensus is they were built in the year around 2,500 BC, so it's putting them at about just short of 5,000 years old. But based on the erosion patterns on the pyramids, but also mainly on the Sphinx, they're saying that is major water damage, and that, you know, it's water erosion that's caused the look. Hi Lee, how are you? And what they're saying is, if you go back that 4,500 years, there was never that amount of water to create this amount of erosion. So they're saying now it's probably twice as old, and it was built back when the world was on a slightly different axis and they were in a lot more tropical area, you know. And it sort of led me to go down one of these rabbit holes of study and research and things like that. And it made me start thinking about lost civilizations like Atlantis, Lemuria, and many others, you know, and where their possible locations are now. When we talked about the Mandela effect, we talk about the Lemurians being Lemuria being a landmass, possibly off Western Australia or possibly off the east coast of Australia. It's a bit iffy. And obviously they were supposed to be highly advanced, almost as advanced as the Atlanteans, and they reckon the two were at war. Now, you take that forward, right? And they talk about, well, in the Bible they talk about, well, in every holy book they talk about floods and things like that, the Great Flood. Well, that could be one reason why now all of these land masses are underwater, leaving us with what we've got now. And it explains the tales of Atlantis dropping beneath the waves, although not overnight like it is in the book. But it made me think, for that amount of water, one, where did all this water come from to flood the entire Earth? Because if the water was already there, when it settled and dissipated, it would go back to its previous levels, which mean all of those land masses, although probably destroyed, would still be there. So something at some point has happened to bring in a massive amount of water. And to give you an idea, when we talk about Antarctica now, they are saying that there is solid land under there, and they have actually found evidence that there was a civilization down there. But it's now under a mile of ice, which means it was under a mile of water. Where does a mile deep of water come from? So that's one thing to start thinking about, right?
Precipitation.
Hey?
Precipitation.
Yeah, but precipitation is all about water vapor being sucked up, moved, and then rained back down again. It has to be somewhere to be sucked up in the first place. And...
But in saying that, Gary, if the Atlanteans were one of the smartest civilizations around, they would have been running off things like hydrogen.
Oh, they would have been running off much more than that.
Exactly. So that would have been putting water back out of near on nothing anyway. So that, I'm not saying that's the complete cause of it. I'm just saying that can contribute to it.
But you see, you think about, right, most of our ice masses are in the North Pole and the South Pole, and with those with the solar, you know, the hole in the ozone layer and all that stuff, they're saying that global warming is happening and the ice caps are melting, which is making our seawater rise. And they're saying it's going to rise by so many centimetres a year or millimetres a year, whatever it is. What makes it raise by over a mile?
Well, considering that the caps have only melted like 3% in the last 100 years. So we've got enough time to try and figure that one out.
Now, that leads...
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
So what about, you talk about where's the water coming from? Well, what if the core of the Earth shrunk slightly, which would cause water to rise because it's obviously got nowhere else to go, and then the Earth does its shift, and as the mantle is solidifying, it's actually growing and expanding.
If it grows and expands, that water will get shallower.
But if you put water in the freezer, and as it freezes, it gets bigger, right? As it gets warmer, it gets less.
Ever so slightly, but yeah.
Yeah, but okay, but we're talking on a small scale, right? But if you look at the overall, right? So as the mantle heats up, it gets more fluidic, so it gets thinner and moves quicker and can seep through, right? So it's creating the crust of the Earth to go inwards, and as more magma is coming out, which would raise the water level, right? And then as the magma starts to cool down again, it's slowing down and then expanding the Earth back to where it should be, which would get rid of all the water, or the water would be placed into like the underwater valleys and stuff. So you get your oceans and your landmass.
But where you're saying it would go back to where it's supposed to be, then what would be happening is you would then be exposing all of those lost civilizations that went underwater. So
that's right.
That's where that sort of falls down a little bit, unless they are going to magically pop up. But anyway, that is sort of it's not really the conversation where we're going with this, but it's sort of the precursor to where I'm going with it now. Now we're going to jump from ancient civilizations to the First World War, and so that's a big jump. Now there was an American captain. He captained a ship, and Captain Byrne, I think his name was, and he was a very young captain, and he had his own destroyer and things like that. And then what happened was, after the First World War, he did some piloting, and he was I think the first to fly over the North Pole, and that got him a lot of accolades and everything. And then what happened was the Second World War came on. He captained a ship. Now I could be getting the order slightly wrong here, but he was the youngest man at the time to be promoted to admiral. And obviously, the war being the war, that sort of stuff happened. Now, in 1946, after the war had ended, he flew down and decided he wanted to be one of the first to fly over Antarctic. And so he did that. And again, because of making all of these inroads into science and things like that, I don't know how, but he and his co-pilot were actually awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. And he said that there was something of interest in the South Pole that he wanted to check out. So being an admiral, they gave him a fleet to hit the South Pole. So he had 33 ships, or 30 ships and 33 or 36 aircraft on those ships head down there. Now, they were down there for approximately 7 months before they came back. And when they came back, his words, and these are, you can find these anywhere, his words were, "I've found a new enemy, and they have the ability to travel from pole to pole instantaneously." Now, the conversation from there went on to, they actually thought, because they were fighting a war down there, some say it was the remnant of the Third Reich. Others say, based on his comment, that they were talking about an alien race, or an old race that are still living down there now. Where I'm going with this is, when we talked about the flood and everything and about ancient civilizations, they spoke about craft which we would now, in this day and age, talk. And remember, this is before Roswell. We would refer to as flying saucers. He said these things, he said they could come up out of the water, they could come out of parts of the land and stuff like that. And yeah, so they had a new enemy. Now, there's a lot that happens down there, and one of the things that I can remember is, well, now America have got a military base down there. Now, why would you have a military base on the South Pole? Because there's not a hell of a lot that happens there unless there is something of interest. Now, if you actually look at maps, and I know everybody tries to discount this, but look at maps of where the American base is, there's lots that's off limits there, and to the public, which I don't know how much public you get down there, but even research, it's off limits to that. And there's one of these mountains down that looks very eerily like a geometric pyramid, and it's not far from this American base. And what happened was, it was a few years ago now, Buzz Aldrin, he flew down there. he was invited down as a guest to look at something that they'd discovered. And I can't remember, he tweeted something like, went down there and I looked evil in the face or something like that. And he came back and he had an episode that was so serious that he was evacuated to Auckland. And he tweeted this, and then the tweet disappeared, and he now denies it, and they're saying, oh, it was a hack or somebody had put this up. But nobody knew at the time that he was down there, so it's very coincidental. But obviously somebody in the know. So what's down there? Who's down there? Is it an alien race? Is it an advanced culture from 5,000, 10,000 years ago, which is still doing their thing, but they're staying hidden from the people up on the surface? That's something to interest. Now, where this story takes on an even more weird thing is, remember his quote, "We found an enemy that could go from pole to pole in an instant."
Yeah.
On satellite footage from 2017, the military and everybody is totally dumbfounded by several images that came up on a satellite photo. They picked up a contrail that went pole to pole. Now you think about it. A contrail is obviously the condensation from when a plane's flying. You know, you got the heat disparity and all that sort of stuff. A contrail lasts max of about half an hour, but usually they dissipate within 15 minutes. They have got this contrail going from basically pole to pole, which means it traversed that flight in under 10, 15 minutes. What on earth do you know that can travel that fast? Because I can tell you now, the experts say our fastest known plane or whatever, this thing is going at least 10 times faster than it. That they're talking speeds in excess of Mach 10. So, you know, anybody traveling at Mach 10 over that short a period to get it going, they would be a stain on the back wall of that plane because of the inertia of acceleration. You know? And you can look it up and you can find it.
So just touching on you speaking about, you know, why would the US go there to the South Pole and Antarctica? Now, it's been spoken about before. I think I spoke with you about it not long ago. They have the listening devices that are there that the US have had in their facility.
Yep.
Now, there was a whistleblower there that also spoke about and it reminded me because you said about Bud Aldrin going to New Zealand, Christchurch.
Oh, it's Christchurch. I knew it was. I thought it was Auckland where they evacuated.
One of the two, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, a whistleblower had come out and said that, hey, these listening devices aren't just listening devices; they transmit as well.
Yep.
And he also pointed out and said that these devices are also responsible for the earthquakes that happen in New Zealand, Christchurch.
Yep.
And the tsunamis that happened off the coast. I'm pretty sure it was Indonesia, or they were talking about as well.
Yep.
And there's 4 or 5 other things that have happened. And he was saying these things are definitely the reason why these things are happening. And that just goes back to what we were speaking about earlier as well with the whole, you know, why would you have these things in such a remote place and not have people be able to get to them?
And that's where we're ultimately going to head in this conversation. But I thought we could stop off at this point and we'd have a bit of a chat about your thoughts on something that can leave a condensation trail from pole to pole. You can watch a plane. You can watch a plane flying across our skyline here, and from there to there, you can already see it starting to dissipate at the back. So for that to be visible in a satellite photo, all the way around. So obviously it was higher than a lot of the clouds. So it's a high altitude flight as well, and then for the contrail to be actually visible from space. What do you think? You know what I mean? It can't be human. It can't be human.
Going around the Earth, because you're not just talking straight. You know, we're not flat earthers. You're saying you're straight. You got to go around the curve of the Earth as well.
Yeah.
In that short of time.
Well, the photos there. That's what I'm saying. You can Google it and you can find the photo. There's actually several in the series. I think it was 2017. This photo was taken. So a contrail in, I suppose you could almost say low Earth orbit. It was that high, but when you look at it, it's still sort of just above the clouds. So you know, it's not a condensation trail. That's the conversation. It's how far it is, and like I said, a condensation trail dissipates. So
It's to have that technology to have something move that fast without killing itself inside.
well, pole to pole, they're saying it's just over 12,000 miles, and to do that in under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You calculate how fast that plane is going, and I don't know any manned craft anyway that can go that fast, and I don't know if they've developed some sort of a drone that can possibly do it, but
Yeah, but the US aren't going to turn around and go, hey, we don't have anything that fast.
no, but
Because that'll be giving away too many secrets.
but the other thing as well is it's not just that, it's a matter of, like I was saying, the acceleration value as well.
Yeah.
The condensation trail is obviously within 15 minutes. To get up to that sort of speed, the actual inertia of the acceleration would make basically a shit stain of anybody on the back wall, because, you know, even in space you're pulling so many G's to get up into space, but to go that fast in a gravity situation, obviously it'll be less gravity up there, but in a gravity situation, to do them sort of speeds, it would tear a person apart.
I just did a calculation: 72,000 miles per hour you'd have to travel that distance in 10 minutes.
Well, considering
72,000 miles an hour. My goodness.
And to obviously with the contrail coming up and out of the air, and then disappearing, that's in 10 minutes. That's accelerating from a standing start to 72,000 miles an hour, and then slowing down at the other end.
Yep.
If you survive the initial, if you survive the initial inertia of taking off, when you hit the brakes at the other end, man, you'd be squished up against your window.
Well, to keep in mind for a reference, the fastest passenger aircraft is currently the Spaceship 2 Unity, which can travel at 3,704 kilometers an hour, which is Mach 3.
Yeah.
Like, that's phenomenal to be even thinking about something going Mach 10.
Yeah. It can't be human. It cannot be human. And it's definitely not an atmospheric condition. Even if you shot a missile, even a hypersonic missile is not going to go at that sort of speed.
No.
And it wouldn't leave a condensation trail that big.
That's right. Because the missile's a thin tube, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you'd see rocket smoke at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're only looking at like 30,000 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is double that. So that's scary. Now, it goes on from there, because my thoughts are, okay, who's down there? And if they do have the capabilities of those kind of speeds without damage to the boy racers from Melbourne, to do those kind of speeds without doing damage to themselves, they have to have some sort of inertial dampening effect, which is you're heading into Star Trek kind of talk with inertial dampeners and things like that. But ultimately, that's the sort of thing that you're going to need to stabilize the air within, so that as you accelerate, you don't all go smush it against the back wall, you know. And we don't have that kind of technology now. No, that's going into another conversation, which is a completely different thing. We're not going to get started on that one, so I'm not going to say anymore. But yeah, so from there, we've got to think about what other possible alien base. Is it an alien base under there? Is it ancient human,
Atlantean,
or
right?
it could be, well, the Anunnaki were originally supposed to be from Planet X,
Yep.
or Nibiru as it's called, and maybe they did stay down. Maybe it is Atlantis down there, and maybe the Atlanteans weren't human but from another planet, and they're highly advanced, but they're just staying quiet about their existence because they don't want to be known with all of the us losers up on the top.
Could even be our lizard friends. Might
Or
be
it's
cold down
Columbia.
there.
Or it's the Illuminati marking their spot saying we own this.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know?
Triangles,
How do you know?
pyramids
Right.
everywhere.
Okay. Take for instance. Okay, so they are the Atlanteans, right? They look human, but they're highly advanced and things like that. What's not to say they haven't sent people up to infiltrate society and governments and things like that? And when we talk about the secret New World Order, the government above governments, how do we know that it's not them controlling things?
You don't. That's the thing.
You know, we are talking alien, but we could also possibly be talking superhuman, kind of ancient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's some interesting stuff. Now, where we were going before, we have a show coming up on the Alaska Triangle and things like that. Now, we all know about the pyramids of Giza, like we were talking about that earlier, and that's where I was going with this whole polar shift thing. You know, when now that the Antarctic is down on the bottom and it's a frozen tundra now, but back then it might have been in a tropical place, and if the whole world shifted around, you got to think to yourself, okay, that's under all the ice and everything, but now you look back at Egypt and stuff. What's underneath the sand? It's two sides of the same coin. You know, sand's covered stuff there because we're always unearthing things there.
Yep.
And then you've got the frozen side, which is what's underneath the ice, which leads me to another frozen area, which is Alaska. Now, we've been talking about the Alaska Triangle, and with remote viewing now, where this conversation came about was we talked about, and we do have a show coming up on remote viewing as well. Now, there's this famous remote viewer who worked for the American government, and one of his last things that he actually did was he believes he channeled or remote viewed an alien species, and they gave him coordinates, I suppose you would say. I'm not sure how remote viewing works, but he drew this place and he got these instructions, and it pointed to a place which is identified as Mount Hayes in Alaska. And what's happened is, and Jeremy knows the number, how many people have disappeared over the last so many years in the Alaska Triangle?
And now I've lost it. I think it was about 16,000.
16,000 disappearances in the Alaska Triangle.
And there's been some as close as 2006.
Yeah.
But in Alaska itself, they're like a mecca for paranormal,
Yes.
UAP sightings, all
Yes.
that stuff.
And if you look into it, all of these,
Look at the span.
about 90% of these sightings happen within this triangle.
Yeah.
And now you think about the Bermuda Triangle, it is almost exactly the same, but it is over Earth, over land. You know, even though it's all snowy and stuff like that. Now, what this remote viewer picked up is that there was a joint army and alien base. So he was saying that an alien species was working alongside humans in a base inside the mountain at Mount Hayes. Mount Hayes is not accessible from any road. It is hundreds of miles from the nearest road. The only way you can get in there is to fly in. And as I was saying to Jeremy earlier, what happened was this investigative reporter actually tried to fly. He hired one of those bush planes, fly out there, and to investigate. And they were able to land it not far from Mount Hayes. But what happened was they started running out of time, but he wanted to get closer to the mountain. Suddenly a storm started appearing above the mountain, and it was starting to really thicken up. And the pilot said, look, we have to get out now before we can't get out. And they took off. And then once they took off, apparently this storm evaporated and disappeared. Now this goes into what he was talking about, Jeremy was talking about earlier, about making all these earthquakes and all these other bits and pieces. And they can what better way to protect a secret base where your only access to it is by air than to create storms that people can't fly in.
Yep.
And the technology to be able to do something like that. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, just to blow your minds a little bit further, there was this I can't remember the guy's name now, but he's a counterintelligence agent, and he ended up getting stationed in Alaska. And he said one of the first things you do as a counter-espionage, counterintelligence operative is when you go to a new place, a new station, he says you survey and get to know your operating area. So he got maps and things like that, so he knew the area where he was going to be working. And he said on all of these maps, he said literally every foot of Alaska has been mapped and surveyed. He said, but right in the middle of nowhere, there's this weird kind of shape, which is just white, and it says area not surveyed to date. And he said, with everything else all around it, why wouldn't you survey that area? He goes, he thinks they're hiding something. And he started looking into it, but work took him in different ways, and he didn't think about it for a while. Now, jump forward now to 1992. And I don't know if you remember, apparently Jeremy says he's too young for this, but America and Russia signed a deal saying that they wouldn't do nuclear tests above a certain yield and everything. And obviously China were not a signatory to that agreement, so they were still doing their own thing. Now in 1992, and you can look back and you can find the information on this, they did a nuclear underground test that was approximately 70 times more powerful than the nukes that dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it was that powerful that geologists were actually using the shock waves to map the mantle and the the crust and everything to get an idea of what the subterranean ground looked like.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was when they went over 4,000 miles, these shock waves, and when they hit Alaska, there's a certain point where they hit a solid object underground that was solid stone, right? And this made news because it was reported, and it hit the news in Alaska that the shock waves have unearthed a pyramid underground in Alaska, right? Not far from the center of the Alaska Triangle. And when this guy that was still this counter-espionage guy saw this, he's going, I wonder. And he tried to get information on it. So he went down to the TV station the next morning to say, look, can you give me contact with the, can you let me watch the thing again and show me your details? And also, can you put me in contact with the people that you spoke to get this information from? And the guy at the TV station goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, the story about last night about the pyramid. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. No such story. And he goes, but it was on the TV. He goes, sorry, I can't help you. So dismayed, he started to walk out. And one of the juniors at the TV station sort of flagged him to one side. And he went over and he goes, 2 men were in here just over an hour ago. They've took everything to do with that story, wearing black suits. So jail, jump all over this. And we were told we are not allowed to talk about it at all. So that only then really fired up. What the hell are they hiding out there? There's got to be something. Anyway, another year or two goes past, and he gets transferred back to mainland America, and he's down on the coast somewhere, and it's where a lot of the military archives are and things like that. And he just thought, no, this is still bugging me. So he sort of made friends with the guy that runs the archive department, and he said, do you have any archives on operations in Alaska? And he said, if you've got any, he goes, they'll be down there, sort of second, stack at the end, just have a look through there. And he goes, you'll find something. Now, he went down there, and he found the file on Alaska, opened it up. It's more redacted than any UFO file you could ever possibly imagine. But he had, remember the maps that he took when he was originally in Alaska, which showed the surveyed area that wasn't surveyed? He still had them. And he found a map with something on there referring to this pyramid. And he triangulated the coordinates, and this pyramid is smack bang in the middle of that area that could not be surveyed. So he goes, so that's what they're bloody hiding down there. And within minutes of that, 2 men in black suits turned up in the archives department of a military base in America and said, "You're not cleared for this." Grabbed everything, including the maps that he'd already brought with him, and they said, "You're not allowed to say a word to anybody." Gone. All right? Now, where it gets more interesting from that. So at that point, he couldn't go any further because he followed information, and he was lost. He didn't know where to go. But the story, OBS Studio is disconnected. I don't know if we're still live. I don't know what's going on. Oh, reconnected.
Yeah, we're still live.
Yep. Anyway, what happened was he got contacted by this whistleblower who said not only was he on the right track with them having found a pyramid underground in Alaska, but the pyramid was a dark black stone material. The pyramid was approximately 550 feet high from base to tip. So it means whoever he is, they've been down there, they can see what it looks like, and they've been able to measure its height. Now, to give you a comparison, the Great Pyramid of Giza is 450 feet. So this pyramid is bigger than the Great Pyramid in Egypt. And what's going on there? Bearing in mind that the center of this triangle with where this pyramid is, and that area on that map that he had that was shown as not surveyed correlates with the area where this thing is. So what's going on there?
Military base.
If you want to Google this, anybody watching, if you want to Google it and have a look and see what it's all about, you look up the Dark Pyramid of Alaska.
I've just been breezing through. There's heaps of stuff on it, but there's a heap of stuff that doesn't give you answers that go anywhere.
Well, this is the problem with a lot of these things. You're not going to find answers that are going to take you places. And it's like all things. The Dark Pyramid, yeah. So it's definitely worth looking into because it just keeps... It's one of those stories that you just keep falling deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole with. So...
But then you look at other things like, just going a bit left of what you're talking about, the pyramid they found in Aberdeen, in England. Aberdeenshire, sorry. Is that made by a different race? Because that's different architecture, obviously. Not quite the same as the pyramids of Egypt. So is that from a different race, a species of alien, or the internal aliens? Can't remember. There's a special name for them, right? So the non-extraterrestrial, terrestrial aliens, right? That have made these other ones. Did they have a war at some stage which wiped out most of everything? Right? Do the ley lines, do they intersect at any part of these pyramids? Were the ley lines a different form of energy transfer? Excuse me.
Well, they do say that magnetic energy does flow along the ley lines and things like that. So, and they say the points where ley lines intersect are particularly powerful areas, and that's where you get vortexes and things like that. So I wouldn't be at all surprised. But it's interesting you say what you were saying there about were they two different species, because when you look at pyramids, you generally break them into two categories. You've got the Egyptian style pyramids, and then you have like the Mayan style, which are more tiered. And when you go back, remember what I was saying at the start of this conversation about how there were two ancient races, the Atlanteans and the Lemurians, that were at war before the Great Flood, which was the start of the conversation, and where did they disappear to and things like that. Well, they're two advanced civilizations, maybe the Mayan style was one, and maybe the Egyptian style belonged to the other, and maybe they were mentoring, because I know they were supposed to be reaching out to different people, but now what my understanding that created this war was the Lemurians wanted to share their technology with the other tribes of man, but the Atlanteans wanted to keep the advanced technology to themselves, and this disagreement was what ultimately started the war, which, I don't know, maybe possibly somehow that created a flood and wiped them out. I don't know. I don't have these answers, but it's just funny how now you brought that in, and that does fit this whole storyline.
That's right.
And then we think about, they say they've actually found a pyramid at the bottom of the ocean in the center of the Bermuda Triangle as well. So now when you look at the Great Pyramids of Giza, the mathematics in them, I think out of alignment to true north is less than 1/4 of an inch, like that. And what they said is if you went around the base, the square base of the pyramids, each pyramid, each line is accurate to within 1/2 an inch. We can't do that now. No. And then that asks this fires the question up, because were humans back then so advanced that they were able to do this? Which goes to my thing about the long division and how people forget things over years, or was there an external source that helped them, as in alien or interdimensional beings?
Definitely don't look human.
No.
And they depict pictures of UFOs, what we would call UFOs or UAPs. You know, they depict non-human, what we would consider non-human-like entities, but walk on 2 feet.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
And this goes into all of the as well, the Egyptian hierarchy of their gods, like Anubis and this, that, and the other. And then that ties back to, remember how we were talking about the Sphinx and how the head was disproportionate to the body, and how it was originally the thinking now is that it might have been the head was of Anubis and not of a human. And what if a war took place and somebody won, and as a form of disrespect, they took out the face of their god and made it a human face?
Made a human face, yeah.
You know, there are so many possibilities.
But that comes back to, like Carl said, they're still discovering stuff buried in the jungles of South America.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of this. They won't release it. They won't find anything. They're still trying to go around and say that the Amazon was now man-made.
Well, here's another one I'm going to throw at you. They believe they found a possible pyramid on Mars, covered by dirt.
Yeah, that's at Sedona.
Sorry?
That's at Sedona on Mars.
Yeah.
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 And that's supposed to be 4 times the size of the pyramids here as well. It's supposed to be massive.
Correct. So could that be contributing to space travel, instantaneous space travel from Earth to Mars?
Well, you think... yeah, go on.
Sorry, you go. I would say yes, there was definitely space travel there between Mars and Earth. Not only for the fact that they found the Sedona. They've also found the gases on Mars were the equivalent to the gases, or the same as the gases that are present after a nuclear attack or explosion, I should say.
Yeah, the radioisotopes match.
So who's to say that there was civilizations, or that's where we were from?
Hang on, just to add what you just said as well, those radioisotopes that you were saying they picked up that showed there was a nuclear explosion. What you forgot to mention is that it was an artificial nuclear explosion. It's not just a natural thing like an asteroid or something like that, which proves that if it was artificial, something created it.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm sure it probably had the same signature traces as what the reactor did. Reactor number 4. But 100%, like if you're getting that many things, and it's always Mars. There's no other planet that they're trying to go for.
Well, Mars is the closest one to us. It's also the closest in size. And they do the found evidence that there was ice on Mars
and water. Yep.
And if there's ice, that means there's water. And if there's water, then there could have possibly been an atmosphere at some point. And what they're saying is they think that Mars was originally our home, and we're actually the alien. We're actually the Martians. and that was our original home. But what happened was nuclear war and things like that happened, which rendered it uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
So what happened was then we travel to Earth, and maybe we are the Anunnaki, who knows? And then they ended up mating with native humans and stuff like that, and then civilization on Earth possibly happened.
Well, you think about it, they can't find Atlantis on Earth. Who's to say it wasn't on Mars to start with?
That's the entire premise of Stargate Atlantis. I love it.
I know. That's, I mean, everyone's looking like here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to stop looking here and look past.
It's like every great magician show. They're doing all the magic here, but what's happening here is just the distraction because the real thing's happening over here.
And hence they release all this stuff in Hollywood and start conditioning people.
Yeah.
And now I sound absolutely insane, but I'm not, I promise.
No,
But that's okay.
A little bit.
We're all in a good in good company because we all have that same the mer
So
people.
maybe the Scientologists have it in the right idea.
Oh no, he said the Scientology word again. Oh crap, I just said it again.
do it.
No, we've just tempted fate with that one.
James, take your face off. Gary, can we do something with that? Make it look like...
Well, I can
Just
keep
make it Nicolas Cage underneath, face off.
Yeah, face off.
No. Computer says no.
Or the poltergeist where he starts pulling his face off.
Well, that's you know...
Oh, we're not going to talk
everyone-
about pulling off on this show. Thank you very much.
No. But you think about it, like, so with the whole Mars thing,
Yep.
America, Russia, Japan, they're all in a race with each other, trying to, get to the moon, this and that and the other. There's been not studies, but they've done research into things saying that they had already proven that there was a military base built on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
On the
being
dark
serious.
side.
Like, oh, no, well, that's 7-Eleven now, so... But there's things saying there's military base on the moon. It's been built on the moon.
That's
Like,
not a moon. It's
I
a
don't believe-
space
I don't-
station.
I don't believe it is on the moon.
Haven't you? Oh no, I was just about to say, haven't you seen Moonbase 1999? That's probably well before his time.
But how much more believable is it saying there's a military base on one side of the moon, and then the media is hyped up saying yes, we've been to the moon before,
But you,
and then saying that these HARP high output frequency devices are real as well. You know what I mean? It's a catch-22. They give you some information with the bullshit. Mind my French, but they string you along.
yeah. Now you've got to think about if there is a military base on the moon, what is the strategic value of having one there?
Nobody can ever get there.
Ronald Reagan's Star Wars, mate.
What are that? They're turning it into the Death Star. That's what they're doing.
Maybe that's where Harold Holt went.
But that goes into the whole other conversation. You go around the dark side of the moon. If you look at NASA photos and things that haven't been doctored, they've got photos of structures on the moon which are massive and ancient, including domes. I mean, a dome is not it's not a man-made, or it's not an art. It's artificial, is what I'm trying to say. It's obviously been made by somebody, and if we weren't up there doing it, somebody else was. So who was it, and what were they doing up there? They reckon they found machines on the moon, which are so massive that they're bigger than Brooklyn City.
Yeah, but if you ask what the historical foundation of the army says, is there's still no bases or big structures on the moon, full stop, since 1969.
Yeah, well, of course they don't. And yeah, the whole moon base, the moon landing conspiracy and stuff. But you look at all the photos. I mean, they're all dodgy and stuff. But you look at some of the footage from the different missions that go around the moon and stuff like that. They've actually got footage of alien. I say alien, artificially controlled vehicles up there, and they're not human. So who were they? You know what I mean? And that there's one photo that apparently, now this is just total rumor and total conjecture. There's no valid proof behind it. Just hearsay from people who reckon they've seen this photo with Neil Armstrong and the guys on the moon. And the reason why this photo never came to light is because on the ridge around the back of where they were, there were life forms all around watching them. Now, I don't know how true that is. You know, I can't.
But for that to happen, you actually have to go to the moon first.
That's the only way you can do that.
Not have it filmed in a Hollywood basement.
Well, it's like I say, in every paranormal investigation that we go on, and we pick something up, and there's always going to be people that say you faked it, or there's people that's going to say, oh, it's this or it's that. Only the people that were there actually know what really happened, and you've just got to take them at their value, and this is why the reputation in the paranormal field is paramount, and you can't be talking crap, and you can't be saying this is a ghost or that's a ghost. You have to be realistic about things so you can build a credible reputation, so when you do get good evidence, it is certainly taken seriously.
But yeah, even as being someone that believes in ghosts, we still try and rule out as much as saying it's paranormal or phenomena before we even contemplate going, yes, it could be this.
Of course, you've got to rule out every possibility before you even go to the paranormal, and that's what we do.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Hello.
But that's what I mean. Like you can pick apart that whole NASA on the moon thing just by looking at reflections, shadows, boot prints,
wind.
You know, wind. Yeah, Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon. Like Carl said, who was holding the camera? Then you look at the angles of their shadows. Like, well, how are you getting shadows in there's something that's negative space?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be complete darkness?
No, because you still get sunlight on the moon. That's why. And what I find intriguing, and it's very weird to me, is that if we rotate every 24 hours around ourselves, which is what our day is. Now the moon does its thing, but it doesn't matter what. We are always seeing the same side of the moon. We have literally never seen what's on the other side of the moon.
And here's another good question.
And what's holding... Sorry.
Oh, you're right, mate.
So what was holding Neil Armstrong to the moon?
Gravity.
If there's no gravity.
There is gravity there.
Was it Velcro boots.
No, there is gravity there, but what they describe it as microgravity because it's so much smaller that you're a lot lighter. That's why when they supposedly jump, they do these big bouncy jumps, things like that. But
don't you need rotation to create gravity?
No, mass creates gravity. Rotation is part of it, and this is what I can't work out. But mass creates gravity as well, which is what Bob Lazar described as. That's a whole other conversation. But when you talk about element 115 or Moscovium, yep, his favourite word.
We've spoken about it a lot.
Yeah, and it's a super heavy element, and they reckon that we've artificially created it now. Not just we've only been able to get it in microscopic amounts so far, but what they reckon now we can actually manufacture it. And the idea behind that is something so dense, like a black hole. It's the density of the black hole that sucks everything in and creates its own gravity well that you can't escape. Even light can't escape a black hole. That's why it's a black hole. Now, if you create take for instance flying saucers and stuff, right? They say there's no visible flight surfaces, this, that, and the other. They don't have ailerons, they don't have rudders, and flaps and all that sort of stuff. So what controls them? Now, he talked about an anti-gravity device. Now, I actually think this is just me. This isn't any kind of scientific fact, but I don't think it's actually anti-gravity that they're creating, even though they reckon that we now have anti-gravity planes in the skunk works and stuff like that. I think what they're creating is a gravity field. Now, if they can create a gravity field and project it above the craft, what happens when the gravity field is denser than what's below it? It's going to fall up to it, isn't it? Now, what happens when you match the same gravity above and below? It hovers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just they
Like,
still.
check this out. I don't know if you can see it or not. Where's it gone? See my little UFO? There's a little flying saucer there with a light
Yep.
underneath it.
Yep.
That's suspended in a magnetic field. Right? You can put paper underneath that and it's just hovering there. So if you're projecting a gravity well above the spacecraft at the same rate as what's below, it's just going to hang there between the two of them. Then if you increase the density of that above it, you're going to fall towards it. So
Yeah.
I think that is how they propel these spaceships. They just create gravity, and the UFO is just falling towards this gravity thing, and they're projecting it wherever they want it to go. And that's how they can do instant right-hand turns and left turns, and they can accelerate. They just increase that density of the thing.
Well, Gary, they've been using EMF like that for decades, hundreds of years here. There's that many parts in a car that have been using that same technology. It's just harnessing that and adapting it, and you can
Yeah.
make whatever you want.
And this is what I'm saying. They're just that much further advanced. And
Just coils and magnets.
this is the old saying that if you go back in time with a mobile phone and show it to somebody, it's so far beyond their method of thinking that it appears godlike to them. It's magic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the same thing with all of this. You know, we're just talking, and they talk about the gods and things like, and the things that the gods could do. You know, the ancient Egyptians, they all talk about it. They're just talking about beings with technology which is well beyond their understanding at the time.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about things that we don't understand, but in 1,000 years' time, primary school kids will be learning how to make model gravity wells as a school project.
Well, we talk about 1,000 years in the past where they did treat them obviously like gods, build the pyramids, do the hieroglyphs, coming back to our pyramid end, you know what I mean? So we're at a stage where we have some form of possible understanding of these, some
Party at
possible
my place.
understanding. All right.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows in 500 to 1,000 years, because we're developing so quick anyway, who knows? It could even be within our time span that we see something like this being developed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See what I mean? Where this conversation leads to when you just start, and then it just takes its own life.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Sorry, to go back with the whole moon landing and that. You've seen the 500 EL data cameras that they use to take those supposed photos,
Yeah.
and we can't get CCTV to show a face properly.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is another big thing, right? Everybody's seen the gimbal footage or the Tic Tac footage, right? I think
Yes.
we can say everybody here who's watching has seen those. Has anybody ever asked the question, where is the actual visual footage? Because all we keep seeing is the infrared footage.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see the actual footage. They're keeping that hidden.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as when you watch these videos that the US made for the nuclear explosions to try and scare Russia.
Yeah.
Everything blows apart. There's cars that have been intersected into places. But what happens to cameras? The film's not destroyed from nuclear damage. The cameras don't move whatsoever. You know.
The cars mysteriously appear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how much propaganda is there?
Yeah.
Oh, the world is one giant propaganda machine. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, you look about what we talked about tonight. We've talked about ancient civilizations. We've talked about global warming. We've talked about the pyramids, the Alaska Triangle, the moon landing, conspiracies, alien
That's all
bases on
conspiracy
Earth.
Study from the Alaskan Triangle.
The two alien tribes.
Yeah, again, ancient.
Ancient aliens.
Well, yeah. And I'm pretty sure you'd probably find something about it on all that if you looked on those shows, the guy with the big hair and everything. So,
You know, and to have the rocket that they had drop them off at the moon, how the hell do they get the space buggies in there? Or the moon buggies, the lunar buggies?
that's one of the
How the
things
hell does
I've
that
always
fit?
Yeah,
It's
well,
not. It's not. Open the packet. Add water. Oh, pop. There we go.
No, they put it on the roof rack.
Yeah. Toted into space.
And the photo's not even of Neil Armstrong. It's of Buzz Aldrin, because Neil Armstrong supposedly took the photo.
Well,
then how was Neil the first one?
that answers your question. Yeah, that answers your question. Is if Neil took the photo, then the person in the photo is not Neil because he was the first man
it's
to step
Buzz.
foot on the moon. Yeah.
And it's written down on NASA's website that it was Buzz and that Neil took the photo.
He got he did get his. This is one small step for man. Crap out there. Can you imagine if he stuffed that up
One small step for man, one giant step for Hollywood.
for Stanley Kubrick? Yeah.
But it's just, there's so much stuff you can go into it, and you just debunk so many things without having even lived close to that era. I wasn't like 50 years ago.
I was.
No, but
I was too.
yeah, make Gary feel really old.
Hey, I was born pre the moon landing.
Look, one person that would be the best to talk to about this is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I'd love to be able to sit down and talk with him. Never going to happen in a billion years.
There's a few people I'd like to have sit down and chat with.
He is a very, very, very smart astrophysicist.
Yeah. But the possibilities are out there. I mean, you even look at Michio Kaku, Japanese astrophysicist and whatever. I had to put that in because it sounds like I made his name up, but it's not. And he's got this whole. Back when I used to listen to Art Bell on the Midnight in the Desert and stuff like that, he released this thing about this star. It's been named Tabby Star because she's the one that actually found this anomaly with it. What they said was when you view it with the rotation every now and then, the star actually dims, and they put it down to a possible Dyson sphere being built partially around that star, and as it's coming around, it's blocking the light from the sun.
Yeah.
And that's what's creating the dip in the light. Now, obviously, they always try to explain it away as something natural because the ability to create a Dyson sphere is beyond light years past what we can even think about. Now, he created a 5-stage evolutionary thing, and basically he said, the first to even make it to level 1, you have to have the ability to travel with it in space within your local system. So we can't even get to the moon yet, so we're not even level 1 on this. And then it goes up through the different stages. So when you get to about level 4 or level 4, the ability to build an artificial structure around your sun to harness the energy from that sun for your own use, that's a Dyson sphere. So if that Tabby star does have a Dyson sphere built around it, that's, they are beyond light years ahead of where we're at to be able to do something like that and harness the star, actually build a structure around the sun.
Yeah, and then build stuff on the inside of the structure.
And then build stuff on the inside.
Energy.
Yeah. You think about that, and it's a theoretical possibility at this stage. It's never been proven, but you can look up Dyson structures, Dyson spheres, and they are a legitimate thing out there.
And just the mathematics to make sure that the Dyson sphere is going to be big enough to encompass the sun and not damage the Dyson sphere at the same time.
Yeah, but let me
hang there in space.
Let me put something else to you as well that you're not even thinking about, right? So you're going to build a structure all the way around your sun, right?
Yep.
How much raw material does it take to build something like that? And where do you get it from? And how do you transport it?
Yeah. No.
Anything that's been man-made so far will melt or burn.
Yep.
Yep.
Otherwise, the Twin Towers would have been made out of it.
See, if they made buildings out of rubber and a plane hit them, it would have just bounced off and they would have gone wibbly wobbly, and they would have stayed standing. But yes, tonight. I hope it's going through. Is it coming through seamlessly for everybody?
Still streaming. Still streaming.
No breaks, hopefully. Oh no, there are little breaks popping up. I'm just seeing it on the live stream, but they're only short. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's issues at this end somewhere. So apologies for that. I don't know what's going on. We might be having a slow internet night or something. I don't know.
Well, we have talked about the Men in Black and possible aliens. So
It's the Scientologists. That's what it was.
that's right.
Bloody
Coming in and trying to.
Ask
Shut us
strangers'
down.
minds.
That's a whole other thing, man. That's a whole other thing.
Hang on a second, Gary. It just makes sense.
I know.
Fernando can't be with us today, and we spoke about Scientologists, and he said, "Look, I'm on video now. If anything happens,
Mm-hmm.
is it really Fernando talking to us?"
Wow.
Fernando, you have to prove it's you. Put something in the chat so we know it's you and it's not like David Miscavige.
Something that we'll only know.
Or even worse,
Oh no, but they know his
Tom
deepest,
Cruise.
darkest secrets. We're screwed.
No, we're not going to get back onto that subject because we got obliterated last week by them on that. So it took me a long time to get my system back up and running. So it is running at the moment, although it keeps cacking itself. But
Blinging out.
yeah, so yeah, we're going to have to head off soon because we're at an hour and 15 minutes. But based on our usual, we've probably got about 15 or 20 minutes before we actually end up getting off. The King of Queens, Fernando. Yes, he is the King of Queens. So yeah, what are your thoughts? What's everybody's thoughts on the ancient civilizations and what's down under the ice at the Antarctic? I'd like to see in the chat that somebody talking about that and find out what's going on because it's very interesting.
You know what I'd like to see is somebody mapping out where the pyramids are, drawing a straight line through the Earth, I guess, from like the tip to the middle, straight through to the Earth, and see if there's like a matching pyramid directly on the other side, whether it's underwater or
Yeah, they have done that. They have done that,
Have they?
and that you'd be surprised
What
at
was the
some of the
outcome?
things. You go through the pyramids straight through. I can't remember where they come out, but I know it does tie into the Devil's Sea off Japan as well.
Yeah.
And what I would be interested to know as well, if you look at the pyramids in Egypt, they're also aligned to the 3 stars of Orion's belt, as well as several other. They talk about how they've got the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber in there, and they've got those shafts and everything. Well, if you follow those shafts, project them straight out of the pyramid in a straight line, they point to when the actual Orion's belt stars are in alignment. Those shafts actually point to specific stars as well. So what's the correlation behind that? I don't know. But now that we know that there are pyramids, at least reported pyramids in the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle, in Alaska, we know about Egypt, we know about all the Mayan ones. If we put all of those together and try and find out how they correlate with each other, are they creating a 3-dimensional map that all point to a single location of where they all come from?
But then you're missing out the key piece in the Devil's Sea, south of North Tokyo.
What's that?
You have the Devil's Triangle.
Yeah, I know. That's what I just mentioned.
Oh,
The
did you?
Devil's,
Sorry,
yeah, I
didn't
mentioned the
hear that
Devil's Sea off Japan.
bit. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I missed that bit.
He's not paying attention. I don't know. He'll have to get some homework
I'm
afterwards.
paying hard attention. I've got plenty of homework going on. Trust me.
Sorry, Jack. Did you say how many pyramids there were in the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle?
One that we know of.
One that we know of, okay. Because
Yeah.
like the pyramids in Egypt, there's 3.
How are we?
Oh, there's more
Is
than there's
there-
more than 3. There's more than 3 in Egypt, even in that.
Oh, is that-
But there are 3 main ones, but there's a number of smaller ones around it as well. Yeah, if you look it up, you'll see there's some smaller ones.
Well, Gary, we now have 9 people watching.
Sensational. Hello, baby. We were talking to her the other day when we had
Yes,
our
that
show
was
going.
the what would you call it? What was it called? The live viewing of our podcast
The,
release.
the Ouija board.
Yes, that's the one.
So yeah, it would be interesting to correlate the position of them all and then see how they intersect. Because if you put this one through to this one and that one through to that one, and they're all higgledy-piggledy, you can't make heads or tails of it. But you imagine if all of them intersect at one spot, and then that gives you a point. I don't know, at least a point of intersection.
Yeah.
What is the significance of that spot?
What else are we missing though as well?
Yeah, exactly. Very, very, very,
That's-
very interesting stuff.
That is the biggest one. It's like, well, if you've got these key points, it could be pushing you in one wrong direction if you've got 3 missing from another area that's central.
Mm-hmm. It's like that. One of my favourite movies of all time, Stargate, and they talk about at the start when he's on the whiteboard before they unveil the Stargate, and he goes to find any location you need 7 points, and he draws the cube and he does the 6 points to give you to give you your point of destination.
Point of origin,
And
destination,
they turn around and said, but you said 7 points. I go, yeah, but you need a 7 point. There's a point of origin. To get there.
Yeah.
So what if all of these pyramids around the Earth meet up?
what's
If when
going
you
on?
intersect them,
Everyone's
that gives you a target, and then it gives you the ability then
Point
to
of
work out a
origin.
point of origin.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, we're totally flying off the deep end of weirdness now, but it's a possibility. Definite possibility. I don't know if are you still with us, Jeremy? The sort of little movements. I'm not sure if your audio's gone.
Yeah, he's there. Maybe not.
Yeah, I can't hear him. No, I think he's. We've lost
Where's he
Jeremy.
gone?
Oh no!
And
No,
he's
here he goes. He's coming back. See what happens when you mention the Scientologists.
Yeah, right.
No, tell me about it. Now my camera's not working. There we go. No, because I was frozen on my screen and I'm watching the YouTube and going, hang on a second, I'm still talking, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what happened.
I made myself look even sillier. I don't think I've had encounters of sightings of ships. Sorry, it's reading a bit out loud.
Could see a ship.
I didn't really hear what you guys were actually saying previous.
But we were still talking about intersecting points and wondering what the significance of that might be with the locations of pyramids around the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, without vital information, we're not going to get.
Look! Fernando's gone and said the word again. Sorry,
Yeah.
Fernando.
He's actually
We actually don't believe it's you. We actually think
No.
you're an undercover Scientologist. So you have to prove to us by saying something that only we would know, but you can't say it because then other people would know it. So it's put you in a very strange spot.
Blink 3 times and you have that jelly beans at the top of your lungs, and we'll know it's you. We understand that, Fernando. Nothing to be sorry about.
Nah, all good, mate. All
You look
good.
after yourself.
You want to see ships? Oh, hang on, I've got to flip the other camera for this. Sorry.
Here we go again.
Here we go again.
Close
I
up.
love that ship.
Just wait for the legs to fall off first. I'll give it a shake.
Not your legs, or
No, not mine. See?
Love it.
Flying saucer,
Love it.
disco UFO flying saucery thing. Holy crap, the legs stayed on. I better not move that again for the rest of the night.
Isn't that what Oscar Pistorius said? Holy crap, my legs stayed on.
Oh no. Oh, we're going to be targeted by every...
Was that before or after he shut the toilet door?
We're all going to get knocked on the door by the men in black by the end of tonight. I can see it.
Oh, do you know what? They'll hand me back. You're bloody annoying. Shut up.
Ask them to pay your mortgage out to keep you quiet.
Hey, I'd if they want to pay for my house, I'd have a nice house and, give me accommodation around the world and I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I can be bought.
Look,
Just
anybody saying
change
they
our
can't be
topic
bought
slightly.
is full of it.
I have my price. Pay the house off, new Ranger, new car each.
A house in multiple countries.
You're getting greedy now, though.
No, not really. I didn't say more than 4. I just said multiple. When does he invite you back? A bunch of us will show up.
Well, I'm sure we can sort. If you
No, there was
you
a
have to let me know
Scientologist
if you
joking
want. If you want to have another look around, let me know, and I will flip the camera around for you again. But you have to let me know in the chat before we go.
Yeah,
Anyway,
He was insinuating a Scientologist joke within that. There's a bunch of us that want to come around.
oh, see now, I just totally went straight over my head. That.
Yeah, at the end, is a bunch of us will show up.
Yeah, I know, and it's not helping the. It's really a Scientologist taking over his account thing. So
Oh, it's easy. You just video call him. If he doesn't answer, you know it's not him.
Yeah.
I've just noticed as well when I give you a look around the man cave, all the magic disappears because you can see all the lights and everything. But all right, here we go. So this is what I'm looking at. Okay, so there's the chat.
Poor person.
There's everybody. There's the audio interface. There's a few lights. There's a couple of Star Trek-y things up there and around. There's the security camera where I'm looking out for the Men in Black and the Scientologists. And then...
Hey, you can get away in your Defiant class.
Yeah, he's up there. There's a Klingon bird of prey as well up there. So and the Voyager. And then you go around the back, you can see all of that. And obviously there's lights. And then there's my LEDs. And then...
But just for people watching, Gary actually made that LED board up.
Yeah. And there's my levitating UFO. There's my LED panel. Well, he's not doing a lot at the moment. And then comes back around. There's another light up there. My alien head. And there's the power plant that's running the whole thing. And then we're back to computers again. So...
Well, you missed your clock sitting on top of your computer, but it's all right.
All right. There's the best clock on the planet.
You're gonna be without that one day.
No.
Now, one thing I will say is you don't have a lot of Ghostbuster theme stuff in that office.
I do, but it's all on the floor. I've got cases down there. You know, did you notice I kept it up high because I'm not showing you what's on the floor?
Yeah.
I've actually got my... Hang on.
Gary hasn't got pants on, that's why I didn't go below the desk.
Shh, don't tell anybody that. This is the new piece of kit that I want to check out on our next hunt, which I think we've got one coming up in a few weeks, haven't we?
Yes, we do. Looking forward to it.
There we go. Ooh. Night vision.
Night vision goggles.
That reminds me, I need to get in touch with our good friend over in the Eastern States and get the... I don't
know if the LEDs will come on yet, but you can sort of
we can see that.
in there. So
it's not
the greatest resolution in the world, but it records in 1080p. So, and it's got a range of about 300 meters on it. So it'll be interesting to test in the field and see how it goes. I don't care if it looks crappy as long as the finished product comes out good. So,
exactly right.
I'm waiting to test that lot out. And I'm not showing you the shit show down on the floor. So,
I completely forgot, Gary, about putting an order through for that Phantom phase as well. I've got to get.
You know what you've also got to talk about as well?
What?
James's t-shirt.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, James, it is taking longer than I thought. I have been absolutely run off my feet. I was actually supposed to message you.
And then t-shirts for everybody else.
Who?
Me?
James is the only one that's won one so far.
No, I want one. I'll give you the money for it.
I want that one.
I want that one, please. Thank you.
Gary can have a salmon-coloured t-shirt.
Like
salmon.
Poo? No. I don't do colours. It's black.
Black is the best colour.
Yep.
Black is the shade.
I know. Don't tell my kids. Oh my God.
Black is actually an absence of colour. Black is an absence of colour.
Yes.
White is every colour. So apparently.
And everyone in the human race is some shade of brown.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Apparently,
that's-
apparently I'm
that's
about
way
the,
off topic.
I'm about the palest shade of brown you can get. But I put shorts on today because it's been warm and bloody hell, nearly blinded myself with my own legs.
Give poor James sunburn. I want to know. Look, Gary.
Hello,
I might have to
baby.
borrow
They're
this.
not. They're not the only night vision. I've got an old military set, and they're really good. But that's a night vision monocular. They're actually night vision goggles. Those ones. So you can actually mount them on a helmet if you want to, but I wouldn't go that far.
Well, if you'd like, Gary, I'll have to get you the Ghostbusters suit.
No.
Yeah, it won't come with the backpack. I'll have to get the backpack separate, and you can have.
No,
those
because if
goggles
I'm
with
going to do that, I'm going to have a word with my mates over at the Ghostbusters of WA. They came out with us one Christmas as our Christmas ghost investigation. We went out to the tunnel, and they came out with all of their gear. And now Toby, my mate, he's got the full. I mean, it bloody weighs a ton. Full metal proton charger pack thing, whatever they call those things.
it. Unpack.
And when he flicks the switch to turn it on, he's got a subby built into the back. So hear this boom as it fires up, and it actually sounds like it is nuclear charging. But then he flicks another switch and it starts playing Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr.
But there's a Nissan X-Trail getting around with the number plates Ecto,
Yeah,
and they've got the full Ghostbusters with the roof racks and everything else.
there's actually a photo of us there as well. You know that they've got like the K2 style thing, the EMF meter, which when the ghost
Yeah,
hit, the sides come up. Yeah, he's got one of them with the lights and
Well, that
everything that
was,
works. I said, why doesn't somebody make
pretty
a K2 like that?
Pretty sure, guy from Phantom Phase. He said he was talking about something.
No,
like that,
well,
like
I asked him about that,
That's
and
right.
he said the licensing because
Yes,
it's from the
that is
film. He
right.
goes, it'd be too hard to get away with. Otherwise, it would be worth checking out. So
Or just change it enough so it doesn't come under the
no,
copyright.
I want
Yeah,
it the
but-
same as Ghostbusters. I reckon it's as cool as a cucumber.
Yes.
Really good. Not that I'll be going out ghost hunting and holding up a cucumber. Ghosties, where are you?
You can use anything really. If cucumber's the way you want to go, you might get a vegan ghost.
Vegan ghost.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk vegan ghost, but that'd be just our luck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, they won't have beef with anyone. So it's all right.
We'd get a hippie ghost.
I'm pretty
We've
sure it's already
actually, you both know we've had some investigations, and they have not been hippie ghosts that we've
No.
had interactions with. We've had some pretty full on stuff, and I do believe we have one coming up in the next couple of weeks. A location,
Yes,
think
we
so.
do.
I'm pushing
Down south.
yeah.
try
Ish.
and get there.
Well, fingers crossed.
Push. Work is so hectic at the moment, and it makes it very, very hard.
So I can't even remember. Is it a Saturday night we're doing that?
Yes, Saturday.
Yeah, okay, so we can still do our live stream, but what we might do, we'll check out what it's like, and we might actually do a live cross on location from the actual investigation.
Yep.
And my audio setup is set up to record totally independent as well, so next time we hit Albany, I'll take that down with us, and I've got my travel microphones there, and I'll take the camera down and we'll set the camera on a tripod, so we'll actually do some live streaming there, and we'll record a show live from probably one of the most haunted locations in WA.
Mm-hmm.
And I will endeavour to make that happen early in the new year. Well, probably around May time when it's starting to cool off.
Yep.
Because you haven't been down there yet, have you, James?
Not yet.
No.
So if it is a trip to Albany down there, it'll be myself without Kerry because we have a little one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not unfortunately we have her. It's unfortunate I won't be to join us.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're
Just thought
saying.
I'd clarify that one,
Yeah.
just in case anyone got the wrong idea.
But yeah, who would be interested in watching us live on location? Our DVR setup does have internet capabilities. I've just got to work out how to use it. So we could effectively set up to 8 cameras around the location. They wouldn't have sound, but they'd have vision, and then we could interlace that with actual footage from. I mean,
Well, getting the internet's not hard. I've got enough mobile data. I just put it on a hotspot.
Yeah, I got me bag down. I'm not going to go down there, but I've got my night vision camera and all of that sort of stuff. So we could have night vision stuff going. We could have thermal imaging stuff going. You know, we could have all
What is the
sorts.
wireless like down there, though? That would be the next issue.
Well, the problem we've got with Albany is we would only be able to really cover the isolation hospital itself. We wouldn't be able to cover anything else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you might be able to make it to the morgue.
sorry, possibly.
You're saying with, I reckon
We would have to
make
get
it.
some other cables. I think we've got about 20. I think the cables are about 20 meters long, but I know the old ones with my old setup, we had two 40-meter cables and then a number of 20-meter cables. But I'll be updating that system at some point in the near future. But yes, Lee loves that place. So there's a lot of chat that I've actually missed. So I'll have to go back through the chat later on and have a read of what everybody's talking about, because the conversation, I've got no idea what's going on there at the moment.
Mark, you need Starlink. Yeah, Mark, Starlink's a little bit expensive,
Yeah.
especially for like a non. If I don't know if you'd call us a non-profit organisation. We're not really an organisation at all, are we?
We're not registered as a non-for-profit or any of that sort of thing. We're just a paranormal investigation team at the moment. We did at one point have, I mean, we had the whole shebang at one point, proper website with the hosting and everything, and it gets too expensive to maintain.
It does, especially when you're dipping into your own pockets. It makes it hard without having any recuperation of funds.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think it's time to call it for tonight. Let's go 3 more minutes just to break it to the 1 hour and 40-minute mark. And then
I don't know if James knows he's muted his own microphone.
No, I know I'm muted. There was someone was having a chat quickly.
oh no,
Um,
we don't have his undying attention.
No.
you have my undying attention all the time, especially when we're doing these. It's great.
Yeah, they're good fun. They're good fun.
The chat's been going really well.
It has. It's
Some
flowing.
left and right stuff.
See, what everybody doesn't realise when with these chats and everything is, we don't actually we can miss quite a lot while we're recording the show, but we'll have a flick back through and we'll watch it all happening and then go but it's already too late, you know.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about this is all these conversations that happen in the live chat don't actually convert into the comments at the bottom of the video. I wish they did.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be easy to respond to everybody individually.
Yeah. Slight delay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Process and going around the world, eh?
I think it's time to call it now. We have hit.
98 minutes.
Oh, should we push it 2 more? Let's go 2 more minutes. Come on, who's got a quick story for us?
We've got 10 people watching now, just for the last 3 minutes.
Oh, you need to get in an hour earlier, and you'll see more of the show that way.
It would be extremely nice.
And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe as well, because we do like to see our subscriber count grow. We've hit 111, 110, 111, I think it is.
112.
Have we? Oh, we've got another one. Very
Yes.
See, when you look at the big streamers who are talking hundreds of thousands of people, they don't notice the individuals, but because we've only got 110, we notice each and every one of you. So
We're not just
Everyone.
yeah, you're all special.
Maybe.
Well, there's different ways you can take special, isn't there? So
It's not my fault they put sugar on the windows, all right?
oh no, you can't take you anywhere, can we? Seriously.
Take him twice, second time to apologise, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
But no, I'm glad you guys are liking the sort of the topics that we come up with for the shows. We had one. The first one that we did with the topic was the Vatican secrets, which then led into Scientology, and I thought we better break it up because that was starting to create a pattern. So we went with ancient civilizations and the Alaska and pyramids and stuff tonight. So we'll come up with something different for next week, and I hope you guys like what you hear next week as well, because You're the guys that make the show, not us. You know, we can't do it without you guys come. Well, we can do it without you guys coming and watching, but it's pointless as doing it. We're just talking to ourselves. You know what I mean? So, would like to thank you all for coming, and like I said, please subscribe and let your friends know about it if you think they'll be interested. Because the more people we can get into this chat, the more interesting the show will be, and we'll get more questions, and it'll keep everything rolling along.
And don't forget about the Tuesday night podcast, right?
Yeah, we have another one coming out on Tuesday night. So Tuesday nights are our recorded show releases. And if we can, Jeremy and myself will be in the live chat when we'll set them up as a premiere for the next few.
Yeah, that worked actually really good. We had a new,
and then
new face in here with Hello
anybody
Baby.
Hello Baby was in there, and we were chatting with her about the Ouija boards and everything in the last episode, and we were doing that, so we'll be able to chat with anybody else that comes in. So until next week, guys, take it easy.
See you later, guys.
See ya.